June 22, 1954, 4:17 p.m. Grand Central Terminal, New York City. Bumpy Johnson stepped off the train from Chicago carrying a leather briefcase and wearing a charcoal gray suit. He walked through the crowd toward the main concourse. Businessmen, travelers, families, hundreds of people moving through the iconic station. Bumpy had taken this train dozens of times, knew the routine, knew the exits, knew every corner of Grand Central. What he didn't know, what he couldn't see yet, was that 8 men were waiting for him. 8 Italian mobsters sent by Vito Genovese with one simple message: leave Harlem or die here. They positioned themselves strategically. 2 at the west exit, 2 at the east, 2 blocking the main staircase, 2 standing directly in Bumpy's path. 8 armed men, 8 professional killers, in the middle of the busiest train station in America at rush hour. They thought they had him trapped, surrounded, outnumbered, nowhere to run. But what those 8 men didn't know, what Genovese didn't know, was that Bumpy Johnson had known about this ambush for 3 days. And the 200 random travelers moving through Grand Central Terminal at that exact moment, they weren't random. They were Bumpy's. Every single one of them. And when Bumpy said 3 words, when he told those 8 mobsters to look around, they realized they hadn't walked into an ambush. They'd walked into an army. It started 4 days earlier, June 18, 1954. Bumpy was in Chicago meeting with a numbers banker named Samuel Hayes, who wanted to expand his operation into Harlem. They met at a restaurant on the South Side, discussed terms, agreed on percentages, standard business. But after the meeting, as Bumpy walked to his hotel, he noticed something. A white man in an expensive suit, sitting in a parked Buick, watching, not hiding, just watching. Bumpy kept walking, didn't react. But he noticed. The next morning, the same man was outside his hotel. Different car, same watching. Bumpy called Junie Bird in New York. There's a tail on me. White, 40S professional, find out who he is and who he works for. Junie made calls. By evening, he had an answer. His name is Vincent Russo, works for Sal Maroney, Genovese family enforcer. Why is he following me in Chicago? He's not following you. He's tracking your movements. They want to know when you're coming back to New York. Bumpy was quiet for a moment, then he smiled. They're planning something. An ambush? Probably at the train station. Grand Central's the obvious choice. Public place, lots of exits, easy to blend in afterward. When's your train back? June 22nd, 4 p.m. arrival. That gives us 3 days to prepare. Bumpy, we can change your route, fly back, take a different train, different station. We could, but if we do that, they'll just plan something else. Better to let them commit, let them gather their people, let them think they have the advantage, and then show them they never did. Over the next 3 days, Bumpy orchestrated one of the largest counter-operations in his history. First, he confirmed the ambush. He had contacts at Grand Central, porters, shoeshine boys, newspaper vendors, people who noticed things. They reported back. 8 men had been scouting the station, asking questions about train arrivals, checking exit points, planning. They're definitely coming for you, Junie confirmed. 8 men, probably armed. They'll wait until you step off the train, surround you, make their threat. If you refuse, they'll kill you right there. Public space won't stop them. They'll blend into the crowd and disappear. Bumpy nodded. How many people can you mobilize? For what? I need 200 people in Grand Central Terminal on June 22nd at 4:15 p.m., looking like regular travelers, blending in, but positioned strategically. Every exit covered, every vantage point occupied, every one of those 8 men surrounded without knowing it. Junie stared. You want to turn Grand Central into a war zone? I want to turn it into a chessboard, and I want those 8 men to realize they're surrounded by 200 pieces before they make a single move. Mobilizing 200 people in 3 days was complicated, but Bumpy Johnson had spent 20 years building networks, policy runners, small business owners, community members who owed him favors, who trusted him, who'd been protected by him. Junie Bird made the calls. We need you at Grand Central Terminal, June 22nd, 4:15 p.m., dress normal, blend in, bring a suitcase or shopping bags, look like you're traveling or meeting someone, but stay alert. When Bumpy gives the signal, you'll know what to do. Person after person agreed. Some drove in from New Jersey, Some took trains from Connecticut, some walked from Harlem. By June 21st, Junie had 200 people confirmed, each assigned a specific position in the terminal. But mobilizing people was only part of the plan. Bumpy also needed intelligence, exact positions of the 8 mobsters, timing of their arrival, weapons they carried. He had watchers at Grand Central starting June 20th, tracking movements, taking notes. By June 22nd morning, Bumpy knew everything. The 8 men would arrive at 3:30 p.m., position themselves at key exits, wait for Bumpy's train. 2 would approach directly, make the threat. The others would block escape routes. If Bumpy resisted, they'd shoot. If he tried to run, they'd corner him. If he complied, they'd escort him out and kill him somewhere quieter. Simple plan. Professional. Except for one problem. Bumpy knew about it and had planned accordingly. June 22nd, 3 p.m. Bumpy boarded his train in Chicago. He traveled alone. No bodyguards, no obvious protection, just a man in a suit with a briefcase. During the journey, he reviewed his plan. 200 people would be in position by 4 p.m. Each person had instructions. Stand in specific areas. Look normal. Don't draw attention, but stay aware. When Bumpy walked into the terminal and the 8 mobsters made their move, those 200 people would close in, slowly, subtly, surrounding the mobsters without them noticing until it was too late. At 4:17 p.m., the train arrived at Grand Central. Bumpy stepped onto the platform, carried his briefcase, walked calmly toward the main concourse. He could see them immediately. 2 men blocking the main stairs, expensive suits, trying to look casual but scanning the crowd. Bumpy walked past them without reaction, entered the main concourse. The grand space opened up, vaulted ceilings, light streaming through tall windows, hundreds of people moving in all directions. And there, positioned strategically, were the other 6 mobsters. 2 at the west exit, 2 at the east, 2 walking directly toward him. The 2 approaching men were leaders, Sal Maroney's top enforcers, Frank the Blade Russo and Tommy DeMarco. Both had killed before. Both carried weapons under their jackets. They walked straight up to Bumpy, stopped 5 feet away. Frank spoke first. His voice was low, controlled. "Bumpy Johnson. We need to talk." Bumpy set down his briefcase, looked at both men calmly. Then, talk. Not here. Outside. Bumpy glanced around, saw the other 6 mobsters positioned at exits, saw hundreds of travelers moving through the station, then smiled slightly. "I think here is fine." "We've got 8 men in this station," Frank said. "All armed, all positioned. You've got nowhere to go. So here's how this works. You leave Harlem, permanently. Shut down your operations, walk away, and you live." Bumpy was quiet for a moment. "And if I don't? Then you die here. Right now. In front of all these people. We'll disappear into the crowd before police arrive. And Harlem becomes ours." Bumpy looked at Frank, then at Tommy, then at the 6 other mobsters positioned around the terminal. Then he said 3 words. "Look around you." Frank frowned. "What?" "Look. Around. You." Frank and Tommy exchanged glances, then slowly turned to scan the terminal. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Travelers, families, businessmen, normal crowd. But then Frank noticed something. The man reading a newspaper near the west exit. He'd been standing there too long, hadn't turned a page. The woman with shopping bags near the ticket counter. She wasn't moving, just watching. The porter with a luggage cart, he'd stopped working, was staring at Frank. Tommy saw it too. The businessman near the east exit, the family with suitcases, the janitor with a mop, the shoeshine boy, the hot dog vendor. One by one, people stopped moving, stopped pretending to be busy, and turned to face the 8 mobsters. Frank's face went white. "How many?" Bumpy's voice was calm. 200, give or take. Every person you see who's standing still, who's watching you, who's been here since before I arrived, they're mine." Tommy spun around, saw the main staircase. The 2 mobsters who'd been blocking it were now surrounded by 10 people, casual travelers who'd moved into position without being noticed, the west exit. The 2 mobsters there were circled by 15 people, all standing quietly, all watching. The east exit. Same thing. 20 people, not threatening, not approaching, just present, visible, surrounding. Frank's hand moved toward his jacket, where he kept his gun. Bumpy spoke quietly. I wouldn't. You draw that weapon and 200 people see it. You fire it and you won't make it to the door. Police will arrive in 2 minutes and you'll be surrounded by witnesses who saw you shoot an unarmed man in Grand Central Terminal. How did you know we were coming? You bought train tickets, Bumpy said. Did you think I don't have people at every ticket counter in New York? The moment you purchased those tickets to Chicago to follow me, I knew. The moment you came back to New York, I knew. The moment you started scouting the station, I knew. And I had 3 days to prepare. Frank looked around desperately. His 6 men were all surrounded, outnumbered, visible. The crowd in Grand Central hadn't panicked because Bumpy's people weren't threatening. They were just present, standing, watching, a silent army. You can't have 200 people here, Tommy said, voice shaking. This is impossible. It's very possible when you've spent 20 years building trust, when you protect a community, when people know you'll come when they need help, they come when you need help. Bumpy picked up his briefcase. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk out of this station, all 8 of you. You're going to get in your cars, drive back to Little Italy, and you're going to tell Vito Genovese that Harlem is not available. Not now, not ever. And if he sends anyone else, if he tries this again, next time it won't be 200 people standing still. It'll be 200 people moving. Frank's jaw tightened. He's not going to accept this, then he'll have a problem. Because I just proved something here today. I can mobilize an army in 3 days. I can fill Grand Central Terminal with 200 people who will stand between me and anyone who threatens me. And if you think this is impressive, imagine what I can do in Harlem, on my streets, in my neighborhood. The standoff lasted another 30 seconds. Frank and Tommy looking at the surrounding crowd, realizing they'd been outplayed, outmaneuvered, outsmarted. Finally, Frank spoke. We're leaving. Smart choice. Frank turned, gestured to his 6 men. They converged slowly, regrouped, all 8 mobsters together, surrounded by dozens of Bumpy's people. They walked toward the exit. The crowd parted, let them pass. Nobody touched them, nobody threatened them, just watched, silently. As 8 mobsters who'd come to kill 1 man walked out of Grand Central Terminal, surrounded by an invisible army. After they left, Bumpy stood in the center of the main concourse. The 200 people slowly dispersed, picked up their luggage, returned to looking like normal travelers. Within 5 minutes, it was as if nothing had happened. Just another afternoon at Grand Central. Bumpy walked to the exit. Junibird was waiting outside with a car. Boss, that was incredible. Bumpy got in the car. It was necessary. They needed to see that threatening me isn't about facing 1 man. It's about facing 200. It's about facing a community. The story spread through New York's underworld within hours. Bumpy Johnson was ambushed at Grand Central Terminal by 8 armed men, and he'd surrounded them with 200 people, without firing a shot, without throwing a punch, just strategy, planning, and the loyalty of people who knew he'd protected them for years. Vito Genovese called an emergency meeting. How did he mobilize 200 people? How did he know we were coming? His people are everywhere, Carlo explained. Ticket counters, train platforms, hotels, restaurants. You can't move in this city without someone reporting to him, and when you went to Chicago to track him, you showed your hand. He knew you were planning something. So he prepared. Genovese was furious. 8 men, 8 professionals, surrounded by civilians who'd die if we'd opened fire, but you didn't open fire. Because that's what he counted on. You couldn't shoot your way out without killing innocent people, without creating a massacre that would bring federal investigators. So he turned Grand Central into a trap using regular people as his army. Frank Russo, who'd led the ambush attempt, was demoted, sent to run small-time operations in Queens. A humiliation. Every time someone asked what happened at Grand Central, he had to tell the story. Had to admit that 1 man with a briefcase had been surrounded by 8 armed killers and walked away untouched. Because he'd brought 200 people. The 8-man ambush became legend. Not because of violence, because of the absence of it. Because Bumpy had proven that power isn't always about guns. Sometimes it's about numbers, about loyalty, About 200 people willing to stand in a train station on a Tuesday afternoon because the man they're protecting has stood for them for 20 years. If this story showed you that the strongest army is the one nobody sees until it's too late, hit subscribe. Drop a like if you understand that loyalty is the ultimate weapon. Comment below, could you mobilize 200 people in 3 days? More legendary action stories coming next. Don't miss them.